Hi, guys. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm so pleased to be here with Jennifer Kordos. She is a multimedia consultant with Stars and Stripes. She is an Air Force spouse, currently stationed overseas. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
No, this will be so much fun. I was reading your interview online and, like an NMSN. Actually, you know what? I don't want to start off right away. I want you to tell everybody about your military spouse journey.
Okay, well, my husband he served 17 years in July. We've been together the entire time. So we got married when we were both babies, which has given us an opportunity to travel from Oklahoma to New Mexico and then all the way over here to Germany. This is our first overseas assignment, and we are thrilled to be over here. We are absolutely loving Europe.
I know we were chatting and we were just like trading bits about like, oh no, you been here? Have you been here? That's so cool. So tell us about some of the jobs you held while you were stateside because I think I love your journey because you never I think if I was gonna look at your journey, I'd look at it and say, this is someone who's not pigeonholed herself into one thing.
I appreciate that. I've tried not to, which has been good too for my sanity because I'm someone that loves new opportunities and loves to, upskill and keep myself fresh. So I started actually in an architectural firm doing
Wow.
some office management, marketing, and then I moved into human resources. My degree was in public relations, so it was not really that relatable. But I started in human resources and continued to grow from there. I was really fortunate as we moved. Along the way, opportunities presented themselves where I could kind of stay in that field or adjacent. So I moved from human resources at a nonprofit to then a very specific field of human resources, short-term disability at Amazon.
Wow.
Um, and that was really great because I got to take that foundation and then really refine it at Amazon and take it even deeper. I was there for about 5 years and again continued to grow my skill set there. I moved into a training role as a live trainer, still in the disability field, but then I was able to train and equip other people. That's been one of my favorite jobs. I love training adults. It's a lot of fun. You still feel like you're making a difference because you're able to take your knowledge and pass it on to others. Then we got orders to move, and Amazon was very kind to let me work remotely from our next base. This was also during and after COVID, so I quickly learned that I'm not a work from home person. I know that sounds crazy. Most people love to work from home. I'm an extreme extrovert though, so I really wanted something in person. And in the middle of Alamogordo, New Mexico, there are not there's not an Amazon facility. So then I decided to start working for the base. So I began working at Holloman Air Force Base in marketing. I was doing sponsorship and advertising, and I was able to really take something I'm passionate about, which is people, and turn that into something with the team. So I loved being able to bridge the gap between the community that I was a part of and the military, which I was also a part of. And so being able to, marry the two and work with the community was incredible. I then, when we moved to Germany, was on the hunt for a job. And I had been told, which it's very common knowledge, that it can be really difficult to find
Yeah.
a job overseas. And I knew that everybody had seen posts online, but I think there's still something in the back of your mind that says, well, you're different, right? Like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, that's other people are going to have that problem. You're not going to have that problem. Don't worry. And it was very difficult. It was a good 6, 7 months before, the right role opened up. And I wanted to be intentional about finding something long term, and that is a blessing because not everybody is able to, and there's not always positions over here that are going to align with someone's skill set.
Yeah, so there's so many threads here I want to pull on, but
Sorry,
let's
I know. I was
Let's
like,
talk
stop
about like
rambling.
your job right now because like I was reading about and you got to your job through volunteering, which
Yeah.
I love because NMSN, we're always touting the value of strategic volunteering.
Yeah.
And like you volunteer with Stars and Stripes before you got hired. And I think that's a great success story. Like for people out there who are interested, how do you move
Yeah.
from being a volunteer to being hired? And I mean, did you feel like volunteering gave you a slight advantage because you were there when when the jobs were announced, or how's that work?
I, I had the mindset and I made the joke of, well, I'm just going to keep showing up until they pay me.
Yeah,
And
Kordos.
it worked, but it gave me an advantage in the sense that I started to learn the business. I knew the teams. So it just better prepared me in the interviews to be able to speak into genuinely how I felt like I could help the team and what it would look like. Because otherwise there would have been these little gaps of, okay, here's what I think the structure is like, here's how I think. But I had a good foundation of the organization through volunteering.
Oh, very cool. And then they also, I mean, I have to think that means they also got to know you.
Yes.
So then when
Yeah.
it was time to hire, you weren't such an unknown element, right? Like they already knew
Right.
you, they knew your work ethic. And
Yep.
so it does work. So strategic volunteering does work. Anyway,
Yes.
okay. So here's the other thread. I mean, oh my God, we don't have that much time, but I'm like, okay. I also want to know about this because I think it's remarkable that you went from a degree in PR
Yeah.
to HR, and then you went into disability HR, which is even more niche, and then you went to marketing. And
Yeah.
then you were talking about upskilling. Like, talk to us about what that's like. Like, how did you recognize that you had some knowledge gaps and then you went to seek out that kind of skill set? Or did you were you just constantly learning stuff and then you're like, oh, I think I know enough about disability. I could go pursue a job in this. Like, how did that work for you?
So I had applied for a general HR job at Amazon and they called me and said, great, thank you. But would you actually be interested in this very specific niche role? And so I said, sure, right? Like I would love to learn more. And during the interview process, I think I had a pretty basic foundation of disability that was a small part of my role, but what they saw was the willingness. They were like, "Hey, you know
Mhm.
what? Yeah, you have a basic understanding of what we do, but it's the willingness and it's that desire to learn because we can teach you, but it's that desire to learn." And Amazon, just like most companies, have a very particular set of values that they're looking for in someone. And in a customer facing role, it is customer service. How are you going to handle? And so having, I think, the willingness and saying, hey, this is somebody that is going to be working with people. We think they'd be a good fit. But then also, I think my advice to people would be to have an open mind, right? Be open to new opportunities. Allow, the right doors are going to continue to open, walk through them, try it out.
So I love that. It's so funny because I kind of think you've cracked the code because have you ever heard that statistic out there where men only have to think that they can do X% of the job before they apply, but women feel like they have to be able to
Oh,
do 150% of the job before they
yes.
apply. And so you're like the outlier because you're like, I can learn it. Like,
I appreciate that. I think, but I like constantly suffer from imposter syndrome. I think it's hard. I think it's hard not to because you do feel, especially as a woman, am I ready? Is this something I don't want to disappoint anyone, right? Like I want to do the best to my abilities. And it is, you do kind of fight that little voice in the back of your head that says you're not enough, but everyone's still learning. And I wish that was something I knew, starting out, but I'm glad I know it now. Everyone is still learning. No one has it down. Everyone is continuously faced with new obstacles, things that arise, and we're all just figuring it out.
but you also, but I mean, I think you're a little bit too humble because I think what I hear from you is you're willing to learn, but that means when you get the job, then you go learn.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I am like, I it's kind of that twisted mindset where I'm like, oh, I can do it. I can do anything. Right? Like, give it to me. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's scary sometimes too. So, and it also makes for very expensive hobbies because my husband supports. I'll be like, hey, I think I'm going to start pottery. Can I get a wheel?
That's hilarious. But no, I think it's one of those, put your money where your mouth is. If you say you're going to be able to do something and they put that faith in you, then you have to then pursue it. You have to go upskill, you
Thank
have to
you.
go look for the opportunities, right? And that's like, I imagine you also have to network. Like then you have to put yourself in those
Yeah.
associations or in those conferences. And no, I love that. And I mean, that's very inspirational because I do feel like a lot of us are like, oh, unless I can do 100, I'm 150% sure I'm not doing it.
Well, thank you.
But
Thank you so much.
no, but I love that you're always open to new challenges and opportunities. But how do you keep yourself competitive though? Like I think when we're younger, it works because everybody's just starting out. But now you have more seniority, and now
Yeah.
the positions that you're really competing for are
Yeah.
more mid-level to senior positions. How do you keep yourself competitive to where when you say I can do this, you have, like you're already halfway there?
I mean, it's that saying like do it scared anyways.
Mm.
And for me, I love to research and I want to know more. So if I'm going to take on something new, I'm going to research the heck out of it. I'm going to read about it. I'm going to watch videos about it. I'm going to try to learn about it from other people. I want to learn firsthand if it's a new product, give it to me. Let's try it. Right. Like I want to be able to speak into this accurately. And so a lot of that has to be self-driven. Nobody's going to come over to you and just say, "Hey, here's, this is exactly how to do it. Let me guide you through it." And so I think it's a lot of initiative on your own to say, "I'm going to take this into my own hands and figure it out."
And honestly, I mean, that to me speaks more to job security because if anybody could do it, then they could hire anybody else
Right.
to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's your superpower, their competitive edge. So, okay, so in closing, because I know
Yeah.
you're overseas and we were chatting about this, about the challenges and surprises, what would your advice be for someone who is about to, maybe go overseas for the first time? Were there any surprises? Like, how can they prepare themselves?
Having a foundational understanding of the language, the culture is a huge plus. We are so um, ingrained in this community and vice versa. And so being able to have some words that you're able to use to communicate, it goes a really long way. And then understanding just some of the cultural differences and showing respect there. I shout out to Duolingo for helping
Yeah.
me prepare for conversations here in Germany. It's been good. So it really does. It goes a long way, and the community appreciates it.
And I imagine that's another skill set then that you could put on your resume, like, hey, I have
But
some basic, yeah.
I can't tell you how many times people will say, "And how's your German?" And I say, "Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch," and they're like, "That's so great!
Very nice.
Thank you so much."
And they love that. Yeah, you're right. They absolutely love that. Well, this has
Yeah.
been such a pleasure. I've loved chatting with you, and
Thank
I'm sure
you.
you're inspiring people. And if you guys have questions for Jennifer, like go ahead and put them in the chat, and we will put them in the comment section. And we will get them to her, and she will answer them for you. I'm sure. She seems like the type of person who would be happy to.
I will. I will.
But thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you to USAA for making these conversations possible. I hope you guys will all come back next week and hear another inspirational story. Bye, guys.
Bye.